Letter to myself, letter that I keep tucked in the Bible on the shelf. Letter self-addressed but didn't write it for myself. A letter filled with pain and hate, a letter with no sell-by date. Wishing this I wish away, wishing that I kissed the page, wishing that I stuck around and found a way to save the day. So here I am, Sweetlemondae, here I am to keep it straight. Switch my words around so I don't choke, don't wanna cry today. Round my Jesus peace, looking for peace. Round my Jesus peace to keep it G. Doing what I do to comfort me. When I share, just know it's not a plea. Round my Jesus peace, looking for peace. Round my Jesus peace to keep it G. Doing what I do to comfort me. When I share, just know it's not a plea. Grew, yeah, I grew. Flew, yeah, I fly. Up to the clouds, don't mess up my vibe. No, every day's a hustle, every day we gotta try. No matter what, be taking you and kicking you aside. No matter what, shining, doing what we doing, yeah. All these rocks we turning them, turn my folks to glitter them. Once upon a time I used to sit and ponder back and forth. Now I sit and forth, not back, doing what I do my best. Round my Jesus peace, looking for peace. Round my Jesus peace to keep it G. Doing what I do to comfort me. When I share, just know it's not a plea. Yeah. Round my Jesus peace, looking for peace. Round my Jesus peace to keep it G. Doing what I do to comfort me. When I share, just know it's not a plea. Yeah. Round my Jesus peace, looking for peace. Round my Jesus peace to keep it G. Doing what I do to comfort me. When I share, just know it's not a plea.
Welcome to Sessions from Oblivion, episode 3, and you have been listening to Sweetlemondae.
Yeah.
Your song was called Letter to Myself.
Yeah.
What is that about?
So I wrote it when I was like going through a hard time, and I just didn't know my purpose, and I didn't know if this was my purpose. So it's kind of like a letter to myself to kind of keep going and keep doing what I love.
And you started at the young age of 15 as a singer.
Yeah. I started singing, and then I realized that singing wasn't really the thing that I was supposed to be doing. My mom told me that I was just bad. So
your mom told you?
Yeah, she was like, don't do
Thanks,
that
Mom.
anymore. So yeah, I then fell into rap. Well, I fell into Nicki Minaj and fell into rap after that. So.
Right.
Yeah.
Something's going right for you because you're top 10 radio charts.
Oh yeah, it's exciting.
That's
it's
a bit cool.
Yeah.
And you'd played Body and Soul, Electric Picnic.
Yeah.
What was that like?
They were amazing. This was my first time going as well, just as a person. So it was like very overwhelming. I've never been to any
How did
festivals.
you miss festivals?
I don't know. I think I wasn't allowed out, so that's probably the reason I never was in festivals, because festivals are very like, yeah, just not there. My mom was strict, so.
Your mum was strict?
Yeah.
She wouldn't let you go to a festival?
No,
right.
no.
Wow.
Yeah, but now I can.
Yes, you can. 2023 has your first single of the year, Higher State.
Yeah.
That's with Jafaris.
Yeah.
How did that happen?
So we had made the song, me and Chris, actually Benza, in the studio, and then he just kind of came in, and we had the verse kind of free, so he just was like, yeah, I'm going to drop on it. And then, yeah, he wrote his verse, and it sounded amazing, so we couldn't be like, yeah, we don't need you.
Is it like that for hip-hop artists? It
yeah,
seems like
very
it's
much.
bit of a gang.
Yeah, it is, yeah. Very much cult mentality.
Right, okay. 2FM Rising Stages.
Yeah.
What is that?
So I got featured for that this year. It's very exciting. I think it's from my single, because it did so well. And I'm just really thankful for that and grateful for that. So they kind of featured me this year, and they're going to help me push my career.
Cool. Yeah. I was talking to your manager a little bit earlier on, and Ivan the Terrible, and he strikes me as a man who knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
And he has that excellent facility. What's it called?
The Playground.
The Playground.
Yeah, it's amazing.
He does video editing, he's got a recording studio, an event space.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah,
it's like
cool.
two studios in there. There's like a psych wall. Like everyone has, like a lot of people have filmed their videos actually at the moment in there. So you kind of go in there on any day, and there's just somebody filming something. There's a car in somewhere, and it's really creative. So like it's not even for music people. Like you can literally go in there and do a podcast or do whatever you want to do. It's like a playground for creative people, basically.
Right.
Yeah.
He sounds a bit like modern day Andy Warhol with
Yeah.
the factory.
Yeah, madman.
Yeah, oh, and a madman. I gather that as well. He's a bit of a mad genius.
Yeah, that's it, yeah.
Okay, we'll have a little bit more from Sweetlemondae later on, but the guest on today's show is Myles O'Reilly. Thank you very much, Myles. Scooch over.
Scooch over.
Make some room.
There you go.
This is actually quite comfortable here. Yeah.
Are you comfortable?
Surrounded by technology, buttons and things.
But earthed, no?
Earthed.
Don't you feel more earthed closer to the ground?
Get close to the ground again. We should all lie down.
It's good to be earthed around so much electricity.
I was going to congratulate you, but not for your many hundreds of music videos and documentaries, but for having the finest beard in Irish rock and roll.
Thank you very much.
It's two-tone. Was that hard to get together?
No, I just really... It was a natural process.
I like it. What was that song called?
That song is Point of Disgust. It's a song written by Mimi Parker, who sadly passed away last year. She's from the band Low.
Okay.
She left us far too early at 53. That song, Point of Disgust, is also featured on my debut album.
Right. And what is that called?
It's called Cocooning Heart.
Right.
Yeah.
Where can people buy it?
You can stream Cocooning Heart anywhere you wish on all of the platforms where you get your music.
We ask people, you know, so it's fine to go to Spotify and check an act out, but it's of no benefit, certainly not financially, to an act. So where can they give you cash? Oh,
on Bandcamp for sure. Bandcamp. There's hard copies, and if you come to gigs, there's hard copies too.
Great. Actual records.
Yeah, actual records. And I do like hard format. You know, there'll only ever be 3 kinds of hard formats, you know.
Really?
Yeah.
What are they?
Well, tape, cassette and CD.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
Right, brilliant. Thank you very much, Myles. Every episode has a section called Tips and Tricks, where I do a Zoom call with an industry professional. On this episode, it's Leagues O'Toole. Hello, Leagues O'Toole. How the hell are you?
I'm very, very well. How are you?
I'm not as busy as you. You're a broadcaster, an author, an agent, a manager. Am I missing anything?
I'm a promoter, primarily.
Of course. I missed the big one.
That's what takes up most of my day.
And thanks for ruining my day and making me feel like a massive underachiever.
Well, you're probably just a lot more sensible than me.
You can't have all the jobs, Leagues. It's just not fair on the rest of us. Okay, this is tips and tricks, advice for young talent, or new talent anyway. What's the first bit of advice you'd offer?
Well, I thought about this, and I thought just on a sort of artistic point, I think a really kind of fundamental thing is, you know, not to compare yourself to anyone, because I think the music industry, and I'm sure that's paralleled in many industries, is you're constantly being compared. And especially if you're someone new, people are looking for reference points. They're the new this, they're the new that, they're the new him, her. And I think just don't compare yourself to anyone and embrace your individuality. And I think you find your own voice and, you know, make the music for yourself. Find your true self. If you find a way of expressing your true self, and not some sort of version of you that you think is going to be acceptable to an audience or to an industry. And I think once you do that, you will find, if you're your authentic self, you will find an authentic audience. An authentic audience is going to stick around a lot longer than a more transient audience who thinks you're something.
That's very true. And I told the guys this, the band you manage, Pretty Happy, so identifiable and such interesting people as well. And I mean, very serious about it, but also what I really liked was a good sense of humor.
Yeah.
Yeah, good guys.
I mean, they've an incredible sense of humor, and I think you get that a lot, especially when you have siblings in a group, because the best sense of humors are always within sort of family connections, and a lot of it's sort of unspoken and weird. And I love the way they're able to bring that sort of family, that sort of almost telepathic family sibling connection into the music and onto the stage. And I just think there's something really infectious about that. And they're just not afraid to be sort of silly, you know, which is, I think, like, there's a real lack of silliness as well in music. A lot of it's just so po-faced and serious, you know, and a lot of their stuff is very, very serious, and they obviously write about quite serious topics as well. But they have that real Irish thing of, no matter how grim the story is or the scenario is, it always benefits from having some sort of weird Irish humorous lens.
Right. Good. What's your second piece of advice?
My second piece of advice is It's because music is such a competitive industry. I think that would be healthy for artists to really sort of evaluate what sort of experience it is, because there's this real sort of make or break mentality about music. You know, this sort of very binary concept of either you're successful or you're unsuccessful, and I think that's really, really unhealthy. And I think people should really try to evaluate the experience. So maybe you're in a band with your friends, maybe you're collaborating with complete strangers, maybe you're doing it completely on your own. But whatever the context, if from the very beginning, the writing process, the recording process, the performances, all the way to the very end, which may culminate in some sort of sense of success or sense of failure, or probably more likely a little bit of both, you're going to embark on a journey of experience, and you are going to learn so much from it. And even if the industry deems you unsuccessful and no one really buys your records and you only reach a certain level of capacity for live performances, you're going to go on an adventure. And if you can view it that way and think about the friendships, think about the friendships with your fellow artists and your bandmates, think about the friendships and the connections you're making with the audience, you're going to learn a lot about yourself and you're going to learn a lot about other people. And I just think in terms of what music careers are, we should look at them in many different ways. And for me, it's always going to be an experience. If you're open-minded enough, I think you can really get a lot out of it. And just don't judge the whole thing on this binary concept.
Selling a million records.
Yeah, silly.
Yeah,
because very few artists are capable of doing that, and very few will in the future.
Yeah. I started this as a guitar player. I wasn't very good. I still own a lot of guitars, but
so I see.
Yeah. I have loads more. I can't play them very well, but I've loads of guitars. But during that time in the 80s, I was a roadie for bands, and I did front of house, and then I set up a couple of venues. I set up the Attic on Burkey. Then I started promoting gigs, and I got into all sorts of different things. I was really, really happy, and still am at 57, to be in the industry. I'm not the guitar player in the Clash that I wanted to be, but I'm still in the industry, and I still get a great buzz out of it. So I completely concur. Leeds, what's your third piece of advice?
Well, this final piece of advice is just a very, very logical one, and it's probably been said a million times before, but it's probably something you can't emphasize enough. And it's this: it's if you are entering into music, maybe just pause for a second and think, why am I doing it? And be really, really honest with yourself. And if you're doing it because you have some sort of creative artistic impulse that you need to explore, or you think it's going to be really, really fun to play gigs and go on tour and be in studios, then fine, you're in the right place. If you think it's going to be a means towards financial success and stardom, you're definitely entering into the wrong career, because it's probably not going to be. And if you really just want to make a lot of money in life, that's absolutely fine. But I strongly think you should consider a career in finance or tech if that is your main motivation.
Yeah, absolutely. There's so few people that manage to, make a lot of money just to get by, just to make a normal living.
Absolutely. And the thing is, the music industry is one of these industries where there's loads of different conferences around the world and different platforms and different experts, and people have made up a million different job titles for themselves to sell you some sort of service or advice. And the big thing about music is that no one ever really admits is that a lot of it is really just down to luck, being at the right time, the right place.
Yeah.
Most musicians are pretty good. There's millions of musicians you've never heard of who are amazing. There's millions of songs you've never heard that are absolutely wonderful, have the capacity to change your life. You're just not going to get around to hearing them. It's a lot of 90% of this is about absolute fortune. Good luck.
Something else on that. I get sent demos on occasion, and a few years ago I got this demo, and they must have spent a fortune on it. The production was second to none. Yeah. It was so polished, and it was awful. I'd heard every single riff, and they were brilliant. I mean, really fast guitar players and a bass player, and the drum. The musicianship was second to none, but there was zero originality in it.
Yeah.
You know, and then I've gotten demos that might be, you know, budget demos, and you can hear something, you can hear the singer means it.
Yeah, I know. And I don't know, like, I mean, people often ask me, why did you never get into playing music? Why did you never join a band? Why did you never learn an instrument? And so, unlike you, I never did that. And maybe the reason for me is I have listened to way too many records and was listening to really, really great records at a very early age. And I think if I attempted to do something, I think I'd just be copying all sorts of people, and I just probably wouldn't recognize that or realize that.
But Leeds, everybody does that. Everybody's a fan. I grew up with punk rock, so I learned the 3-chord trick and a fuzz box and loads of noise. And then it's a while before you get anything resembling yourself, because I was a massive Talking Heads fan, so I had this sort of choppy rhythm, but I was still influenced by punk rock, so it had to be noisy, and I'm a massive Bowie fan. So all these things, you know, you are a fan of music.
Yeah.
So you can't help it. You know, you mix up.
I'd just be crap. I just wouldn't be crap. Yeah, that's it. You know,
never say never, Leeds. Never say never. You and me are going to form a band.
I write lyrics. I'll write some lyrics for you. That's probably the best I can do.
Leeds, thank you very much for taking the time out of your massively busy day and making me feel like crap, because you're hugely successful and probably rich.
Sadly not. No.
Thank you very much, Leeds.
Thanks so much, Andrew.
Thank you, Leeds O'Toole. Leeds, on the tips and tricks section there, was saying, you know, you need to ask yourself why you're in music. And, you know, if you're in it for fame and money, you should probably sod off, do something else. Yeah. What do you think of that?
I agree. I really agree. Because, like, I find it hard to do, like, interviews. Anything, like, very much that has to do with me talking or being out. Like, even when I started, I didn't want to be on Instagram and all that kind of stuff. Like, ugh. Wow. But, like, you have to in this generation to kind of, like, make music and to go far. So, yeah, if I could, I'd just do music and not be here, but...
Do you know the band Lankum?
No, yeah.
Okay, Lankum are sort of folky, anarchic type. rte is in that band, and she did tips and tricks. And she said, you know, musicians naturally are quite, you know, introverted. And spent so long learning her instrument that when the band started doing well, she was completely intimidated by interviews and photo sessions, and in sound checks she was afraid to ask the engineer for help. It was oh, no, it's fine. You know, and she had to learn to do that. So much so, she wasn't going to do it. She said, I can't do this.
Yeah, honestly, there's a lot of artists that are just like that. Yeah, it takes away from, like, there's a lot of people who aren't releasing that I know actually in Ireland, and they're amazing artists. But, like, it's just that part of it that they just don't want to get involved with. Wow. Yeah.
Tell them they should listen back on our old episodes and find the one Ray Pete on it. Get inspiration. You came up on the bus from Galway.
Yeah. All the way 3.5 hours on the bus.
And you're going back there?
Of course, yeah.
Very, very dedicated.
Yeah, crazy.
But you've lived around Ireland, a few different spots.
Yeah.
So when I moved, experience?
I moved here when I was like 7, so that's 2007. We were in Dublin, and then 2017 my mom moved to Mayo, and then I went to college in Carlow. So
now, is Carlow the hip-hop central?
No.
Of the world?
I mean, I wish.
No, Mayo is.
No, yeah, Mayo is, yeah. Out of all places that I've been, I still don't know how I've managed to do hip-hop. But, like, I used to write even in college. I'd put music out on SoundCloud in Carlow.
What did you?
But there's, like, Cello, actually. Cello was in Carlow, and there's a few other artists, Triple XL, and a lot of people that I met in Carlow.
So
that
wasn't
were kind
far
of
around.
doing rap, yeah. But, like, that was only because I was in college. But I feel like if I wasn't in college, I wouldn't have met them at all,
Right. It's been a great pleasure talking to you, and thanks for coming out on the bus.
Thank you.
Safe travels home. What is the name of the final song?
That's Never Gonna Be.
It's Never Gonna Be?
Never Gonna Be.
Never Gonna Be?
Never gonna be the same. Fight every day that we up. Fight every day, gotta get no drink, cause the feeling went low. And hear another bro on road and chains and pain. Baby crying in vain, see your dad at the back of a van. We're crazy with sad, cause I broke another girl 2 days so far gone. All of it do is never gonna be the same. So y'all need a change. Yeah, we need better days. So we need better ways. Don't look us out, give us a bell. Give me the keys, let me out. Cause I don't wanna stay here, I just want another route. Never gonna be the same again. You're never gonna living off of the system. Caught up in it, she a victim. What to do, man, is sitting in racial profiling. Man, they really be wildin'. Government really be honest. Feel like the end is upon us. Rocker, we paving the way. Sat at the table, you bringing a plate, or you working outside a buffet. Don't be stealing the sauce of my dear mother, she working it out as she prayed. Never gonna be the same, no, never gonna be the same. Now I know that things won't